this, if we were to be using the textbook, this would be module 17. So I just, this is what you made it through module 16 last year. Okay. So it doesn't really mean anything other than it's got a number. Okay. So we can keep track of it. All right. So, the title of this in the book would be Return to Normalcy, which is this is Warren G. Harding. Okay. And that's his campaign slogan, Return to Normalcy. We have the war going on, right? So when we talk about this, this president, we are going to spend a little time 1918, 1919, 1920. Who was president in 1918, 1920? Woodrow Wilson. Okay. Now, is Wilson a Democrat or a Republican? He's a Democrat. Okay. That follow me? Okay, over here. See these people? Hey, look. Okay.
Hi guys. Guys, I'm gonna be famous.
Hey, move your face. Okay, now. All right, so back here in the corner, I've got 3 presidents. So Wilson's a Democrat. This is Harding, Coolidge, and he will be Harding's vice president. Harding's going to die. Coolidge will become president, and then you have Hoover, Herbert Hoover. Okay, all 3 of these men are Republicans. They're the first 3 presidents we'll really be talking about. We will talk a little bit about Wilson. Okay, so this is 1920, and Harding will be the first president partially elected by whom? Women. Okay, so we'll talk about that. And then Coolidge runs for one election, doesn't run for another. Hoover runs in 1928, and he will be a one-term president. Okay, who will beat him in 1932? Yeah. FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who will be elected 4 times president of the United States. FDR. 4 times. How? Okay, so listen. In government class, we're going to learn that there are 27 amendments that change the Constitution 27 times. First 10, of course, are Bill of Rights. Okay, that was all in 1791. So 17 times since then, we've altered the Constitution. Okay, so the 21 amendment changed the 2 terms to president. This is very easy to remember. 2, 2, 2. 22, 2 terms. 22nd Amendment, which they passed right after Roosevelt died. They're like, we're not doing that again. 2 terms, that's it. All right. So, all right. So Harding, we'll get into. But what we're going to talk about here is, remember how yesterday I mentioned how there were a lot of social change after World War I. Talked about this, like women's voting and women's liberation, stuff like that. Okay, so it created new problems and opportunities for people, and one of those is revolution. Okay, and so you guys obviously saw this when you came in, right? The USSR, which is the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Now, is this the Soviet flag? No. Whose flag is that? Okay,
Chinese.
This is the Soviet flag. Okay, the hammer and sickle, okay, on that one. Does anybody know what color the Vietnamese flag is?
Which one? North or south?
The Vietnamese.
It's a red. It's a red background, and yellow star in the middle.
Right. Red with a yellow star like China, but it's different. Stars in the middle.
And there's 1 star.
Yes, 1 star. Okay, now listen, guys. The color red is synonymous with communism. So if I say red, you say communism. Red.
Communism.
Red.
Communism.
Okay. Now, what if I were to refer to somebody as a pinko? A pinko commie. What? Hints of it, or a socialist. Somebody that's not fully communist, but they definitely are part of the way there. So, for instance, take somebody like Bernie Sanders, right? Would it be fair for Mr. Bright to call him a pinko commie? Is he a socialist? Yes. Okay, and he admits it, which I respect. I would rather you tell me you're a socialist and let's debate it, okay, than pretend that you're not, but you really are. You know what I mean? So I respect Bernie Sanders for that. That he tells you what he says he is. Okay, I personally, okay. So anyhow, who is this man? This is Vladimir Lenin. Okay, and he's going to help lead this revolution. So in 1917, when the United States gets in this war, Russia gets out because they've got a revolution going on there. They will sign a separate peace agreement with Germany. It's called like the Brest-Litovsk Treaty. Okay, so they make amends, Germany and Russia, and the Tsar, what's his name? Nicholas the Second. What's going to happen to him? Yeah, and then what's going to happen? And then his family is going to be assassinated. Yes, including his daughter. Her name? Anastasia. Okay, now if you know this story a little bit, guys, you know about the son was a hemophiliac, right? And that means when you bleed, you keep bleeding. You know what I mean? And then, so the Tsar's wife, I forget, she invites this doctor to come in and stay with the family. This creepy doctor. What's his name? Rasputin. How many of you guys know about this story? Okay, good. So it's really kind of interesting to study. Yes. How would you describe Rasputin? Kind of like a mystic. I would.
Wizard almost.
Sure.
Huh?
Like a wizard.
Yeah, witch doctor, mystic. Yeah, he's
Weird
a
guy.
weird guy. Weird guy. Okay, so this actually kind of weakens the family having this dynamic and so forth. And so this man who was in exile during World War I is going to come back to Russia and lead a revolution. Okay, now this revolution is based on the idea of communism, which who is the author of the Communist Manifesto? Karl Marx. Now he has a co-author. Sometimes people forget to mention. Marx and Church. No, it's actually Friedrich. Friedrich what? Engels. Engels. Okay. I-N-G-L-E-S. Okay. Friedrich Engels. Okay. Now. Okay. Have any of you guys read the Communist Manifesto? Okay. First thing you should understand here, guys. Communism is an economic theory for government. It's not a form of government. It's an economic theory. So the polar opposite of communism would be capitalism. Okay, not democracy. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so it's a beautiful idea that Marx comes up with, right? This is a utopian type idea. Okay, where everyone is equal, everyone shares in the wealth together. It's a little bit like sitting around in a big circle, holding hands and singing Kumbaya. Okay, it's a wonderful feeling. It's a utopian type idea. Okay, now every time it's been tried, it's turned into a dictatorship. Okay, and so we've got to really analyze this and study this a bit. So with Marx, now do you guys know where Marx is from? He's from Germany. In fact, he's a German Jew, like Einstein. Einstein was a German Jew. And so, do you know where he was living, Marx, when he wrote the Communist Manifesto? Where? Somebody say? No. He was living in England. He was living in London. Okay, now remember what we talked about yesterday with the Industrial Revolution. Like all these people moving off the farms to the cities, right? in the cities like Mary Poppins, right? All the smog, all the smoke, all the pollution. The working conditions were unsafe, unsanitary. The living conditions were bad for the workers, right? Okay, so this is what he sees. This is what he's witnessing in London. And he says, this is wrong. This shouldn't be this way. Okay, so this inspires this economic ideology called communism or Marxism. Okay, and he publishes this and people read it all over the world. Okay, and in Russia, there's a group of people that like this ideology and they call themselves what? Not communists, but another term for the revolution, not the Russian Revolution, but the Bolshevik Revolution. Okay, so if I just go to the next one here, guys, you'll stop listening to me and start writing. So I'll let you write that down if you want. So the Russian Revolution starts in 1917, otherwise known as the Bolshevik Revolution. Okay, so we got to understand what does that word Bolshevik mean? Okay, so I have it on the board over here, of course, in red. Okay, which Bolshevik means the majority. Yeah, maybe I just. Oh wait, this stopped. Okay.
I can like.
You can be my guy.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not recording. No, it just stopped. Like the Bluetooth turned off. Usually I have like a little thing around my neck, but that broke in year 12. Come on. So Bolshevik means the majority.
So does Menshevik mean minority?
Ooh, cow. I don't know.
I think I've heard it is that the Mensheviks are the minority, but there were more Mensheviks than Bolsheviks. Bolsheviks were really radical.
That's not how that works.
And so, but they just called themselves the Bolsheviks because they wanted to seem important.
Yes. So here's the thing. This morning, all over America, people woke up, hopefully took a shower, brushed their teeth, and did what?
Check the news.
They went where?
Work.
To work. Work. Guys, this is the majority. This is the workers. Following? Okay. Now, are there more workers than there are managers?
Yes.
What about more workers or owners of businesses? Workers. Okay, so in essence, what the Bolsheviks are saying is that they need to tear down the wealthy to create equality. Okay, to tear down the aristocracy, tear down the wealthy, the powerful, because those people are not going to give up that power willingly. You're going to need a strong man to tear them down. Okay? A strong man. And this is what happens. Now, what Marx doesn't explain in the Communist Manifesto, because he says communism must be spread, it's spread through revolution, because people don't willingly give up their power. Okay? So you need a revolution, you need a strong man. But what he doesn't describe in the manifesto is once this strong man, who is this? Lenin comes to power to tear down the aristocracy, then he gives up his power and becomes just like everyone else. But it's never happened. That's why we remember the names. Lenin, Stalin, Castro in Cuba, Mao Zedong in China, Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, Kim Il-sung in North Korea, and then his son, Kim Il-jung, and then his son, Kim Jong-un. We remember the names. In Venezuela, which is not communist, but close, you had Chavez, Hugo Chavez, and now you got this guy, Nicolas Maduro. They're dictators. These dictators that take power from the wealthy never give it up themselves. And so every time the communism has been attempted on this planet, guys, it's turned into a dictatorship. Are you following me? Now, if you track 20th century history, because this happens in 1918, and the fall of communism in the Soviet Union happens in 1989, if you track this through the 20th century, you could conceivably say that more than 100 million people died as a direct result of communist policies in the 20th century. And that bears discussion. Everybody knows who Adolf Hitler is, but communism killed far more people than Nazism. So let's talk about it. So when we talk about communism, you have to understand that Marx's ideology says that there can be no private property. They really don't like religion either, because they want you to worship at the altar of the government. Okay? Let me explain something. In this country today, you need to understand these words. In this country, you ever hear anybody talking about equality? Yeah. Somebody put in a sentence for me how you would use it in the United States today. Equality. Everybody's treated the same way. Everybody's treated equally. Okay? The 14th Amendment to the Constitution says all citizens have equal protection under the law. The law treats everybody the same, whatever color your eyes are, your hair is, your skin is, or whatever religion you are, the law treats you equally. That's the way it's supposed to be. Has it always been that way in this country? No, it hasn't. We're trying to get there, aren't we? Are we doing better now than we have in the past? Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Now, this term equity is different. Now, you have to be smart here, people. This is code word. This is code. Equity means what? It means in outcome, we all wind up in the same place. Yes? So somebody that went ahead and got a doctorate in American history and modern European history, and a doctorate in political science is teaching the same crap I'm teaching, but making more money. Well, how come I don't make as much money as the political science professor at Harvard? That would be equity if we both made the same amount. We both do the same job. That would be equity. See, communism doesn't work, guys, because of human nature. Let me explain this to you kind of simply here. Tyler Young is going to spend 4 hours studying for the first test in this class. Jack thinks he's Mr. Smarty Pants over here. He's just going to study for an hour and a half. So the first test comes. Tyler makes an A. Smarty Pants Jack makes a C. I should have studied more. But don't worry, Jack. We're going to use equity. Tyler, I apologize, but we're going to have equity in my classroom. So I'm going to take part of your grade. I'm going to give it to Jack. And you're both going to get B's.
How's that bad?
The next test, test number 2. Tyler's not studying for 4 hours. Like, he still wants to really make an A because he doesn't want to be on his college transcript. So he's like, I'm going to study 3 hours this time instead of 4. Because Mr. Ebright took that from me. I don't know if I should study that much again. Jack's like, I'm just going to look this over for a few minutes. So the next test comes. He makes a D. Tyler makes a B. Tyler, equity. You both get C. Now, if I do this in a classroom of 26 students, what's going to happen on the third test? Nobody's going to study. There's no profit motive. Why would I spend 3 hours, 4 hours doing something when I can't benefit from it? This is what communism does, guys. It takes away the profit motive. So when Lenin and Stalin imposed what are called 5-year plans, so this is a command economy from Moscow, and they tell the farmer, and this was an agrarian society. It's weird that communism took place in Russia first, because it was not near as industrialized as Europe, the rest of Europe. You guys following me? This should have happened in Germany or France or Britain, not in Russia. It's agrarian. They don't have all those horrible working conditions. People are working on the farm. Now, life can be rough in Russia, right? The weather's tough, right? It's tough. So, but anyhow, you owned a farm prior to communism. Hopefully you can grow enough food to feed your family, yes? And then if you have some extra food left over, what do you do with it? You sell it for a profit. And then what do you do with that profit? Well, you might buy seed for next year, or if you have enough profit, you might buy a little more land. And if you do that long enough, you have a pretty big farm, you start hiring other people to work on your farm, which means you as an individual are creating wealth for other people and food to sustain people. God bless you, right? Well, now there's no private property, guys. So the government says, you are going to still work this land. These other people are going to help you. Okay, you're going to grow enough food for your family, and whatever's left over, the government's going to take and give to those that don't farm. Okay, no profit. What happens in Russia, guys? Say it. Famine. Millions of people are going to starve to death. Who knows better how to farm? A farmer or a bureaucrat in Moscow? They're going to tell you what to plant, when to plant it, when to harvest it, how to grow it. Who knows better? It's free enterprise. Okay, what's one of the hardest working gigs you can have is a farmer, especially like a dairy farm. Jeez, that's hard work, man. And why are you going to bust your butt when you got no profit motive? Just like this class. Now, some of you guys, and I asked the other class, they were pretty sheepish, but anybody in here getting a full academic ride somewhere? 3/4? Half?
I don't know yet.
Oh, you don't know yet? Okay, my bad.
Not good enough,
Ask us
Mr.
later.
Ebrard.
How many of you guys think you got a shot at a pretty good academic scholarship? Okay,
Raise the hand, please.
now how did you get there? How did you get there?
Worked hard, Mr.
You
Ebrard.
busted your butt, right? You understand. In capitalism, ladies and gentlemen, listen, it's rough and tumble. It's rough and tumble. Guys, the United States, it's hard too. It's hard here because, guys, you got to get what you can get. You got to get your slice of the pie. And if you don't work hard, somebody else is going to take your slice of the pie. The government's not going to give it to you. Oh, kind of, sometimes. We have some socialism here. Okay, we use socialism. I mean, the public school system is socialism. Okay, the road system is socialism. You know, the highway system, the roads. We all pool in our tax dollars, and the government does it. You know what I mean, so we have socialism. It just depends on how socialist you want to be. You want to be as socialist as Europe? Okay, some people yes, some people hell no. Okay, so I really want you guys to be aware of this stuff, like this. Okay, how many of you guys are going to KU? Anybody going? Nobody's going to KU? Maybe. Okay. They'll beat you over the head with this equity stuff. Okay, you guys know what DEI is? Equity and inclusion. Code word for socialism or communism. Equity is code word. They just don't say it out loud. You understand? Now, there's nothing wrong with diversity. Okay, you just can't. In my opinion, you can't force diversity. Diversity is good. It's fine. Nice. Okay. You can't. I don't know if you can force it without using equity. Inclusion is nice. Okay. As a Christian, you include other people, and fine. But can that be forced by government? Okay, and that's what people are trying to do. Well, it's all basically trying to be dismantled right now. Because there's a lot of DEI going on in the last 4 years, and starting to be dismantled. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but okay. All right. So anyway, let me just throw this at you. Okay. No private property. Let me give you a good example. I had some students a few years ago. Three boys came. Their last name is Garrett. Guerra. Garrett. Love these kids. Their grandfather was Cuban. Okay. And his grandfather and grandmother lived in Cuba when Castro took over. And there was communist revolution there in 1958. They were pretty well to do. They owned their own house, and they had a pool in the backyard. And when Castro took over, one day they're sitting in their house and they hear all this noise in their backyard. Like, what's going on in our backyard? And they go out there and all these strangers are swimming in their pool. And then he's like, what are you guys doing? Why are you in my pool? And they're like, this isn't your pool. This is everybody's pool. And they didn't leave. And that's when his grandfather realized they needed to leave. And they fled the country and came to the United States. Okay? Just like your ancestors did. To flee what? Communism. Okay? Listen, guys, there's a lot of people in this country that love this idea. Okay? Maybe some of you. It's okay. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. I'm just here to tell you that it's at the point of a gun. Okay? It's at the point of a gun. Now, if we vote to become socialists like the Europeans, then we vote to become socialists like the Europeans. If I have to pay 75% of what I make to take care of other people to sit on their ass, well, I'm seriously going to consider relocating to a different country. Like they do in France. People that can afford it. The wealthy pay 75%. Just like California, guys, where people are leaving the state in droves and businesses are leaving the state in droves. Chicago, businesses are leaving. Why? Because they can't attract top talent to Chicago because people don't feel safe there. So people, and the taxes are high in Illinois too. Okay? Now, today, we still have some communist countries, right? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Vietnam. Still call themselves communists. The Chinese call themselves communists. The Soviets were real communists. They tried the economic system. And guess what? It failed. It doesn't work. So the Chinese figured out in the 1970s, and the Vietnamese as well, that it doesn't work. Guys, it's easier to start a business in Vietnam than it is to start a business in California. You know all the paperwork and red tape you got to fill out, all the environmental regulations in California? Do they have environmental regulations in Vietnam? Probably not. Okay? It is so easy to start a business in China or Vietnam, in a communist country, where in California, man, dude, this is the thing that really gets me at my crop, okay? I've owned a small business. 50% of small businesses that are started in this country fail within 3 years. I am one of those statistics.
What was your
Okay.
business?
I had a small publishing company that made guidebooks for the beaches of where I lived in Florida.
Ooh, okay.
I'll show you sometime. Some of my handiwork. I was a graphic artist, but I was not a good salesman. So, look at our Congress. We have 435 members of the House of Representatives, 100 senators, and we have a president, right? How many of those 536 people have ever actually owned a business and hired employees? Not very many. But they know better how to run the economy than the people that actually own and run businesses. You understand? Had a good conversation with Luke, our president. Luke.
Fouts.
Yeah. I don't know if you wanted me to share this or not. I'm sorry, but his I don't know if you guys know his grandfather owned something. Okay, you guys know. Okay, so And he talked about it because we were having this conversation last hour. He's like, yeah, man, the amount of regulation on like zoos and animals and stuff like that are being written by people that have never been around animals or know anything about zoos. You know, they're writing the laws and the regulations on these people that do this for a living and have done it for decades. You know what I mean? This regulation is a stranglehold on commerce. The Vietnamese know and the Chinese know the best way to make money is free enterprise and private property ownership. So guys, if you live in Vietnam or China today, in these communist countries, if you are a member of the Communist Party, in China, that's less than 1% of the population. You are elite. You do own businesses. There is private property in China. There is private property in Vietnam. These are not communist systems. They just call themselves communists. They are simply dictatorships that oppress their people's freedom of religion, oppress their people's freedom of speech, but economically, there's quite a bit of economic freedom in China and Vietnam. Quite a bit. Because they're not stupid. So why are we trying to do what the communists are doing when the communists realize it doesn't work? I'm just saying. Okay? And it's not everybody trying to do that. It's just some people. Okay? Bernie Sanders. Sorry. Okay. All right. So how else can I bash on communism? Capitalism is hard, and it's not perfect. Driven through competition and the free market. Okay? And guys, in this world, a lot of you guys are doing a good job with this already. Like, you guys are competing for scholarships, be competing for jobs. If you own your own business, you'll be competing for customers. Okay? This is life. Okay? And, you know, I'm a baseball coach. You know, I mean, I guess I could get fired if I didn't win at a high school. Yeah, some people do. You know, I don't know. Did they run Coach Dominic off because he didn't win basketball? They run him off? Maybe. Maybe it was the parents complaining too much.
What else happened yesterday?
You know what I mean?
Tell us more.
But if you don't win, if I don't win, they might look to replace me. Certainly you guys know that in big time athletics, right? You're not successful. Okay? So where we do have socialism in this country, which I already mentioned to you, public school system, roads. How are we doing? People getting fired for bad scores, for administrators getting fired because their school sucks and nobody can read or write. No, because it's socialism. Nobody's accountable. You have unions that protect the teachers and the administrators and stuff. Okay? You have lawyers that protect them from being fired. Now here, we don't have that. So if I don't do a good job teaching, I just don't get a contract next year. You got to do a lot. You got to be a pretty bad teacher around here to get fired, to not get a contract. Talked about that the other day.
Oh,
Huh?
tell us about it.
You guys know who the good teachers are.
Yes.
You know who the bad teachers are. You've had them, right? No names. No names.
Lots of
Yes. Hey, my two children went to school here. I know who the good teachers are, and I know who the ones that are not. Okay? Everybody knows. Do they get laid off?
Maybe.
No.
Socialist.
A little bit. Sometimes. Well, it's hard to find somebody to teach here. So they don't like laying people off because it's hard to find a replacement. You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
I can do this.
Closer,
Why?
closer every time.
Why can I do this? Because I have a sugar mom.
Yes.
Why?
Woo! 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 Huh? Yeah. But she knows I call her my sugar mom. I'm her arm candy.
Thank you, Mr. Bright. Live your dreams.
Wait, next she's married. Wasn't for my brain.
What do you know now?
Oh, what a take. What a take.
See, you know opposites attract, right? Common sense? Yes. No common sense? Engineer? Yeah. It works. You know it's true. Okay? You know any engineers? Oh, by the way, Herbert Hoover was the first president we elected. He was an engineer. That was an engineer. And he had historians say one of the worst presidencies in American history. And the other engineer we elected in 1976, Jimmy Carter, some would say was worse than Hoover's administration.
Say that, Mr.
So the
Bright.
moral of the story is don't elect
Engineers. Sorry, Isaiah.
Hey, I wasn't playing the girl.
That's got some
Okay. There's some good history for you. Okay, what's next? All right. So this you will not find in most history books. Okay. I need to turn the lights on for some of you people. Anybody dozing off? Need the lights on? Okay. How much time we got?
12 minutes and a dream.
Okay, who are the Allies? During World War I, the Allies are Britain, France, United States, Spain in there, you can throw in there, okay. So during the revolution in Russia, there were actually American boots on Russian soil. Not fighting, but providing help to the Tsar. Logistics, supplies, weapons, okay, trying to help the Tsar against the Red Army. With me? The whites versus the reds. Now, we know who's going to win, right? The reds are going to win. But this is going to prolong the Civil War. Okay? This is going to feed distrust of the West. Now, this is a term that's used a lot, guys. The West. Who is the West? United States and
Europe.
East or Western Europe. Western Europe. Okay. So, kind of like Catholic Church, Christianity. So when you guys were sophomores, you took a history class called
World history.
World History. So when I started teaching here, it wasn't called World History. It's called what? Western Civ. Western Civilization. Okay? About 10 years into my teaching here, we changed the course name. I was not the department head at the time, so I did not make this decision.
Who was?
Mrs. Barry. Okay, so what's the difference between teaching Western civilization and world history? Have you guys ever heard this term, ethnocentric? What does that mean, ethnocentric? To view things through your own ethnicity. Okay, so Western Civ is world history through the eyes of people that live in the West, which would be Christians generally. Okay? World history is viewing world history through the eyes of the world. Does that make sense? Now, in college, some colleges still refer to it as Western Civ. Okay? And here's the thing. I don't know if you want to take that in college, because I took it at Newman University. And I had this professor, and her name was Mrs. Solentrop. And I have a Solentrop in my second hour. She's not really sure if she's related to her, but this was one of the hardest classes I ever took in my lifetime, okay? And so I made an A on. But it took me like 12 hours. You know what I mean? And then she like complimented it and wanted copies of these pages. Well, the second time around after I got an A, I did this one on the Industrial Revolution. And got a B.
Did you get an A because they gave it to another student?
Maybe. And then this one, on the causes of World War I that I taught yesterday, I got a B.
You didn't study, did you?
You know how long this took me?
Was it 12 hours?
Maybe not. Maybe.
That's why it
Hey.
wasn't. That's why.
see, there's your
Or
problem.
less. You get less in this society, Mr. Ephraim.
Let me learn 15 hours. Next time, just let me know.
Mr. Brad, I think it looks great. Don't listen to them.
So listen, if you sign up for my class for college credit through Friends University, you won't have to take Western civilization in college. And all the information for signing up for my class through Friends University is on Canvas. Okay? You want to know how much I make as the person that does all the work and all the grading and all the work.
Tell her to quiet down. She asked for that.
You're getting free knowledge by sitting this close to me. $20 a head.
That's pretty good.
What? How much is it an hour? Yeah, but not all of them are going to sign up.
Sorry, Jay.
How many guys are thinking about signing?
I'm not thinking about it. I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
I'm going to.
That'd be all right. I'll get a bigger check. Oh, listen, no pressure, guys. Seriously, dude.
Never mind.
I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. Listen, I got enough. I'm good. I got a sugar mama. I'm good. Okay. I ain't trying to put pressure on anybody right there. Seriously. You want to do it, you can do it. You don't want to, that's fine. But, dude, you don't have to take this class in college. I'm just saying. Okay, you get done with college sooner, which some of you may not want to do. You might want to go on the 5.5-year plan like me. Okay.
7
Isn't he Mr. Smarty Man? So
Literally. That's what I did.
Okay. All right. You guys have all heard of the Cold War. Cold War, right?
Yes.
After World War II. But the seeds of distrust between Russia and the West are planted all the way back here during the Russian Revolution because we were trying to help the Tsar against the communists. Okay, so that plants a seed, and then Americans begin to fear communism coming here to the United States. 45?
Mhm.
Now, let me throw this at you. You've all heard of the American dream. Right? Okay. So for everybody that looks a little different. But there are kind of some central tenets to, like, for most people, this tells me, like, I have achieved the American dream. What would one of those central tenets kind of be?
Job.
You got a good job, you're financially stable. What? You own your own land or home. Home ownership is a big part of the American dream. Okay, and our government really encourages it. They want it. Okay, so if you have communism, are you allowed to have your private property? No. Oh, I see. So what you're saying, Mr. Ebright, that communism might fly in the face of what many people see as the American dream.
I think that is what you're saying, Mr.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So why would people fear it? Well, because it doesn't jive. And are a lot of people in 1918, 1919, 1920, do a lot of people in America go to church? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
mother.
Do we have over 1 million Muslims living in the United States in 1918? No.
Oh.
No. Do we have as many Jews as we have today? No. So most of the country is Christian. You follow me? And a lot of people go to church. Do they allow freedom of religion in most communist countries? No. So the right to worship your God. You have to remember the first settlers, as I was reminded yesterday, subbing for Mr. Ferris, Junior History. Why did the first settlers come here? Religious freedom. So guys, you've all heard of the Red Scare?
Yes.
Most people think 1950s, 60s, the Red Scare. Yes, that's the second one. We're going to have a Red Scare in the 1920s. It will start in 1919. And guys, 1919, which we will get into tomorrow, or Tuesday, okay, is a tumultuous year. I got three years in my head right now, tumultuous years. 1919, 1968 is a crazy year in America. And then 2020 into 2021, COVID and the George Floyd situation with the Black Lives Matter protests. Pretty crazy year in America, okay? Yes, Jack. What's red mean? And people are afraid of it. And so the government is going to react to it. In part, the government's the one scared. All right?
Yeah.
Hey, like and subscribe.
Hey.
And